Hi there BookTube, it's Janet, and today I've got my reading week. I don't know why I keep calling these videos my reading week, because they're always like, sometimes they're a week, sometimes they're a bit longer than a week. This time it's a bit longer than a week. So it's week in brackets, weeks. First of all, I want to say thank you so much to Louise, the Big Head Bookworm, for giving me a shout out on her channel, and very warm welcome to all the lovely new subscribers that have come over to my channel. I hope you like what I do. Come on in, sit down, have a nice drink. I have got my lovely brand new little cat mug to have a drink and welcome you all in. I'd like to say that I am like kind of a normal person and has tea and coffee, but I hate tea and coffee, so it's actually Diet Coke in there, but nobody needs to know but us. So, back to my reading week, in brackets, weeks. It wasn't quite as prolific as I had been earlier in the month, but I think that was down to the fact that I had a week off work, so I could just read, because work tends to get in the way of reading. So I've just got 2.5 books to show you. So this month's Shelf Slam topic was books released in 2016, and so the first one that I read was A Closed and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. This is the second one in the Wayfarers series, which the first one was A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which I read last year and absolutely loved. I really enjoyed this one. It does follow the story somewhat, but it's a spin-off of some of the peripheral characters that are in the first book. I did enjoy it, but it was a 4-star read. It follows the life of Jane, who becomes Pepper, who is living on Port Coriol, which is like a planet, and I enjoyed it. There is going to be a third one. I think it might be the third and final one. I'm not sure if there's going to be any more in this Wayfarers series, which I believe comes out in January 2018, and I will definitely be trying to get my hands on that as soon as it comes out, because I do love Becky Chambers' writing. It's warm and it's friendly, and it makes you feel good, and it makes you feel connected, and you really start to care about the characters. So I did enjoy it, but obviously it would have been a hard task to emulate the writing in the book to the first one in the series, because it was amazing. The other one I read this month was actually an audiobook, and this was the Gustav Sonata by Rose Tremaine. Wasn't sure about how I felt about this at the beginning. It follows the story of Gustav, and Gustav is born sort of at the end of the Second World War in Switzerland, and it follows his life as a child all the way through to an older man. Gustav is brought up by his mum, his dad, we know his dad, and you get different narrative viewpoints as you go through the book. So you start off with just seeing it through Gustav as a child. He's quite a shy boy, he's eager to please, and you find that out really because his mother, she isn't the most loving and warm mother, and she is quite self-obsessed and self-indulgent and spoiled in a way. And it's the friendships that Gustav makes, and it's just, it started off quite slow and I wasn't sure what I was going to make of it, but as it kept going and you hear the different narrative viewpoints and you put together all the pieces of the story, that the people that have touched Gustav's life and influenced Gustav as a person, I just ended up absolutely loving it, and I gave it 5 stars. It's just, Rose Tremaine just gets inside the head of people so well, and she really makes you feel like you know Gustav and you've walked the path that he's walked, and you understand the man he becomes because of his earlier life and influences. He seems to have always been one of these characters that has lived for others rather than for himself. And he's just a love, and it's just such a lovely thing. And the ice skating is were one of the happiest times in Gustav's life is when he makes friends with a little boy called Anton, who moves into his village, his little town, and on his first day at school he's crying, and Gustav goes over and makes him feel better and says, come on, I'll be your friend in school. And Anton's family are quite wealthy, so they take Gustav and Anton ice skating every Sunday, which is something that he loves, and that's like what he always remembers in his life as that really joyous free time. So I do recommend it, and the audiobook is really well done. I think it's called Mark Marsh who reads it. He really does it so well. It's fantastic. And then the next book for my March TBR on the 2016 topic, I'm halfway through, and that is The Devil's Evidence by Simon Kurt Unsworth. And this is the second in the Devil's Detective series. The first one is The Devil's Detective, and this is set in heaven and hell. Now, the first book is where you follow Thomas Fool, who is one of hell's information men, and it's set in hell, and basically he investigates crimes that happen in hell, and the world building is just fascinating. It's quite grisly at places. If you're a bit squeamish, probably there are bits in it that you might not be too happy with, but it's worth sticking it out just for the imagination of the places that Simon Kurt Unsworth conjures up. This second book, Thomas Fool actually goes to heaven because there has been some untoward incidents happening in heaven, and you get to sort of see the imagery of what heaven would be like in through the eyes of the author, and you get the angels and you get demons, and it's really, I can't say that it's a rapid page turner. The actual crime element of it is pretty slow and pretty ploddy, and so that's probably why I've not made the more progress with it than I have. But I'm just fascinated by the way the world is described and the way the world is conjured up, the heaven and hell, and some of the characters in it. Like, for example, one of the demons that accompanies Fool to heaven, his body is made of writhing maggots and insects, and he has this smell of decay and foulness and excrement about him. And if he moves, sometimes he shakes off a maggot and an insect, but then they all crawl back onto him. And I just found that, like, that imagery just repulsive, but so right for the description of a horrible demon. So I just love them because they're so completely different. So I'm hoping to finish that off soon, and that will probably be in my April wrap up now because March is done. So that was my reading week in bracket weeks. Let me know what you think of these. Let me know how you've been getting on this month and what books you've been reading. And again, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Come on in. Let's have a chat. I love having little comments, and we always like having a little chat. And I love it when people recommend things to me and have things to say about what I've read, or, you know, if they read anything that I've recommended, and let me know whether you liked it or not. So that's all I've got to say for this week. So keep reading. I will see you all soon. Bye.